What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Cyrus Obsidian here at Obsidian Games, here to bring you another episode of Local Diaries. So let us dive right in. So with Alliance Insight being our format and Battles of Legend, this new set that just came out, we are trying to figure out where do we fit in this meta. And honestly, I have loved playing everything that I've played up until this point, but the one deck that I keep going back to in my head is Regenesis. I think that deck has such mad potential, and I have seen people from the Kali effect to TSX1, try out this deck, and honestly, their decks are solid the way they have built it. But for me personally, I love what I have done with this deck now. So in the past, we've seen the Bestial Kashtira Regenesis, where we kept it, I think, at 40 cards with some hand traps. We played it making some small changes to the extra deck, and now we've made some bigger changes, upping the card count for starters to 43, changing up our side deck a little bit to be a little bit more competitive, and our extra deck being more open inside with our main deck. So let me show you the deck profile that we are rolling with, so that way you can see those changes, because I think they are pretty monumental for this version of the deck. And then we're going to head to locals, put it to the test to see how far we can go. We are 1 month away from attending the WCQ. Whether or not we play this, whether we play Malice that got us our invite, or the deck choice that I am leaning towards that is very questionable because it gets support just a couple weeks before the WCQ, I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out, but let me show you the deck profile we're rolling with, and we'll head to locals. All right, so for this version of the deck, we did make some changes that are pretty big. Start off, we'll kick off with the Regenesis lineup. We are still playing 3 copies of Regenesis Archfiend, 1 copy of Lord. We decided to up Sage to 2 and Warrior up to 2 with 1 Dragon. So I think the biggest change for the Regenesis lineup is definitely upping Sage and Warrior to 2. I believe upping that will help with our consistency in seeing the Regenesis cards, along with seeing any of the searchers in either Regenesis or the 2 copies of Code. We are still waiting to get a copy of it, which if we do, for the event, we'll up it, and it will be a 44 card deck. But yeah, playing 2 definitely would offer 3, and then 1 Birth. Birth is just such a stellar card, being able to book a moon on both turns, and then on the opponent's turn, being able to bring back all your Regenesis by sending Birth itself, gives you a lot of advantage, especially if they board wipe you, or they somehow out the board with like Kaijus, Lava Golem, cards of that nature. So it lets you stand a chance to not be OTK'd. But this is it for the Regenesis engine. Again, if we do manage to get a code tonight, we are upping code to 3, just that way we can see a little bit more consistency with the Regenesis engine. And then onto our hand traps before we get into the other engines. We are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Fuelos, 3 copies of Droll, and then this isn't a hand trap, but we are going to consider it one, in 3 copies of Super Polymerization with 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent. So I am trying out a Super Poly build just because there are a lot of decks like Malice, there is the Mitsurugi, there is Blue Eyes. All of these decks play pretty well into Super Poly. So if we're able to hit them with the Super Poly, breaking their board while establishing a board and OTKing going second, that's ideally what we're going for. These as well are kind of in that same boat. Like, this deck is really great at going second, and can also do really great at going first when we see the supplemental engines that we are playing with, which is, to kick it off, the Bestial engine. We are playing 3 copies of Bestial Rebellion, 1 Magnum Hut, 1 Druid Swarm, 2 Baldrake, and 1 Regain. This is the Malice Killer. This also does hit Mitsurugi a bit, but it's not as detrimental as it is to Malice when going first. Being able to get that branded Regain whenever they banish something, and being able to go Regain to shuffle back their Dormouse, their White Binder, whatever it may be, preventing them from extending further is also really key. The Bestials as well act as interruptions in hand trap form as well, So that is an additional 4 cards that you are playing outside of the 12, so that ups the count to 16 just a bit. But if you don't count the Super Poly, then you are playing right at that sweet spot of 13. And then the Kashtira engine, we are playing 3 copies of Unicorn, 2 Fenrir. We decided to drop Fenrir down to 2, just because getting into Unicorn is more critical with 1 Birth and 1 Theosis. I desperately wanted to play Raitsoth, I really did, but I just could not find the room in this deck. There wasn't anything that I wanted to cut. You could arguably cut maybe a Lubellion down, a Baldrake down, the Talents, but it's just everything in here I feel is really great. Lord is the 1 card that is questionable, but I still find value in Lord, being able to OTK with it and also get Birth really fast. It's the reason why I don't play Raitsoth. But that is the main deck of 43 cards. To the extra deck, we were playing our 2 Super Poly targets. Where did it? Yeah, where did my other Super Poly target go? Well, I guess we will edit in a Dragon of the Swamp as one of our Super Poly targets. We are playing the Garura because Garura is just really great at being able to break boards alongside of the Mud Dragon. There he is. Mud Dragon also being just a good target for Super Poly is really critical. We are playing 1 Golden Cloud Beast Malong and 1 Drishan the Cursed Thunder God. You might be asking, why are we playing Malong when we can't make Malong? Because we are siding Ultimate Slayer. So we are going more of a board breaker approach with our side deck, and this goes very well into the matchup with White Forest, which White Forest is a pain when you don't open draw. So Malong is going to be there for us. As well, it has an additional event with set in the graveyard. You can return it to the hand. So getting a 2-for-1 out of this is going to be really great. And then Jurishin is also just really funny just to be able to remove stuff from our opponent's side of the field. On to some Xseeds, we are playing 1 Shanger Era, 1 Dark Arm Dragon, Dark Arm is the Dragon of Annihilation, 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal, 1 Garunix Eternity Hyang of the Fire Kings, 1 Aggregator, 1 Typhon, and 1 Zeus. So Hyang we made with the 8s, since we do play a couple of 8s in the deck. This is just going to be a really good board wipe, which is essentially what we want, double board wipe with Hyang and Zeus. Aggregator, again, is in here for Ultimate Slayer. Typhon is just also really great, solid card. Red Eyes Flare Metal is going to be really good going close into time to, we pass turn. If our opponent activates anything on resolution, they are getting 500 in time, so there's that to consider. And then for the last bit, we are still playing 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and 1 Tri-Brigade Arms Bucephalus Theckin. So this is going to be really helpful playing against the Lynx decks, looking at you, Malice. For Ultimate Slayer, we just Ultimate Slayer, target, send this, and we pretty much dodge, or we just play around their board a bit, breaking it, and then this will also let us send the Garura if we really need that draw, but hopefully we'll be using Super Poly to out the board as well with it. Onto the side deck, we are playing still board breaker approach with 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, 3 Molcharmi Perulias, and 3 Chaos Hunter. So this is going to be really good into some matchups. Chaos Hunter is really great into the Malice matchup, of course, into any deck that banishes like Crystron. This will stop them for sure. Perulia just also really great. Nib is also really great. Ultimate Slayer, of course. Then we play 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster and 2 copies of Lightning Storm for going second. Again, board breaker approach to the extra decks. That way we can just kind of break boards a little bit better. We thought about a thrust package. We thought about playing D-Barrier, things like that for going first. But I think going first, the deck choice that we have is really solid. We would just pull out cards that don't help us in the long run and put in things like the Nib, the Molcharmi, maybe even the Chaos Hunter. Just really depends what our matchup looks like. But that is it for the deck profile. Let's go to locals and see how far we can go with Regenesis. All right, so here we are at Duke City. It's been a crazy night because we did get ourselves a box. We did open it. We did not record, but we did get a lot of good stuff. We did pull a loadly board, a barrel, and a drill beam in one box, which is really dope. A lot of openings I've only seen pull one or the other. So it's nice to see that I pulled that. But going into round one, we play against Crystron, and we go to 3 games here. Game 1, it's a grind. It was just crazy. He takes it in game 1. We go game 2. I'm able to outgrind him this time, and we're able to control the tempo with super poly, board breakers, and we just take it from there. No, it was the other way around. I took game 1 in the grind. Game 2, I did not open playable. And then game 3 was very similar. I did not open playable. I was hoping he would commit a little bit more, and it wasn't. He ashed my Fua every time, so we just ended up losing that one. We go game 2, playing against Illusion Chimera Azamina again. Game 1 took really long. He ended up taking it. Game 2, I took it in the grind. I was able to get into the Genesis Lord and just do piercing and take it. And then we go game 3. And when time gets called as he's trying to establish his board, and we ended in a draw. Game 3, round 3, we play against Ryzeal. And this is where my deck is really catered to, is the meta. So against rogue stuff, it's not all that great. Crystron, we do have a pretty decent matchup, but I just did not open playable. Anyways, so I take game 1 in a slug grind. It was just a lot of smacking back and forth. We were just throwing hands with one another, and I ended up taking it. I ended up taking it because of Super Poly, really good card in the main. Game 2, I sided out all the Kashtira engine, and we were just primarily playing like board breakers, but we Fua'd, didn't see anything. We drew for turn. It was Molcharmy, and just like it was rough. And then game 3, we just cracked open. We opened with a full Kashtira board. We had Bestial in hand. We had Super Poly. We had Sage. We had Warrior. We had the Archfiend, so that way we contributed off the Sage. So, I mean, we were cooking. And then we, again, Super Poly set with 1 in hand, which was a Unicorn, not a Bestial, sorry. And we just controlled it. That way, he opened non-playable, and we just swung for game. So we're 1-1-1. 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss. So not too bad. We're not going to place in top tables, unfortunately, but you know, the deck is cooking. When we play against meta, it's really cooking. As I like to say, this deck is either I cook or I get cooked. So I still love it though. It is super fun to play, and it's just a fun deck to play. Definitely consider picking it up. All right, so last and final round, we play against Blue Eyes, a deck that we were also prepared for. Round 1, game 1 was a little bit of a grind, but we ended up taking it with Super Poly being a really great card, and just being able to recursion with the Regenesis stuff. So take it there. And also use Moon of the Closed Heaven into Underworld Goddess is so amazing. I swear, people use it for its effect. It works. It's genius. Anyways, we did that game 1, and then game 2, he went first. We just had the Ash, and he couldn't play through the Ash. And then he returned the Ash on me, but thankfully we had the extenders to just kind of push through, and we just were able to OTK from there. So we take it in a 2-0 sweep. So we're 2-1, ending the night there. I don't know if we'll place. I doubt it. You know, it really just depends on how tiebreakers play out. So we'll see. Close. We placed 5th out of 12, 13, and someone dropped. Yeah, that 1 draw. Had I played it a little bit differently, I had made a misplay. I should have summoned Warrior back rather than Sage, like game 2, and that definitely would have won me the match. But it is what it is. But that's all for this local diaries, everyone. Let me know what you think of the deck, and let me know what you'd like to see. To the person that did ask about combos, I will do a combo video. It is, like I said, it's a lot of freestyling depending on your hand, so we'll definitely show that. But we'll pass it over to you.